About this microphone. We're in.
Welcome in, everybody, to another live edition of 410 Sports Talk. This time, we're on the same screen, not side by side. Well, side by side on the same screen. And boy, we got a lot to talk about, Jimbo.
We have a lot to talk about. Appreciate you guys being. We know that you're jonesing for some sports talk, and we're excited to give it to you. We're excited to talk about all of our thoughts, opinions, takes when it comes to camp, some hot takes, and yeah. So let's get right into it. This is where we'll start. I think this is important, Glenn. Let's start at line and Kevin Zeitler. It doesn't look too good right now with his foot.
That's okay.
We're having some technical difficulties here. We're getting it. But let us know if we sound okay as well.
Yeah, that's what we're really about, the sound. Holy pixels, Batman. Yeah, well, we're in a cabin in North Maine, northern Maine. So, yeah, internet has not been our friend. But we're going to try and get through this. Let us know what you guys – if you're having any issues, we'll try and see what we can do to make them better. But, yeah, I mean, I'm a little nervous about the offensive line. Okay, Ronnie's on PUP.
Yep.
We got Villanueva who, when he took that vet day off earlier in the week, it got ugly for the rest of the tackles. And, of course, Zeitler, he goes down with a foot issue, which they're deeming not serious. But
we've heard that before, right?
They just told us Marquise, which we're going to get into later, and now that's becoming more serious. And like you mentioned, what do you think of when you hear of a foot injury on a big O-line?
There's a broken bone. I mean, immediately, there's a broken bone. We saw it with Nelson from Indianapolis, broken bone there for their guard. So I'm a bit nervous. I'm nervous because, and we talked about this about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, offensive line of all positions is a unit, right? So they need reps together, as Glenn shows off his really precious coffee cup there.
$1 at Walmart.
It's really cute there, isn't it?
Yep.
But I think something that's important is that they get reps together, right?
Yeah.
And so Ronnie coming back, okay, that's fine. But at least we need to get the 4 out of 5 that are going to be the starters out there and doing it together. So I'm a little nervous about this offensive line. But let me talk to you about a bright spot, Glenn. Our boy, Ben Cleveland.
The big fella.
Big fella with frozen children in his mini fridges.
That's right.
In his mini fridges. He's got more than one mini fridge.
He's got more than one.
Oh, yeah. He passed the conditioning test. And apparently he is moving bodies, Glenn. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the first day of padded practice, he did not disappoint. I mean, there was a lot of people unsure about, there's not a whole lot you can kind of learn from an offensive lineman until the pads come on. So the pads came on, and this guy has been putting people on their backside. So apparently he knocked over Tyus Bowser and then pushed Pernell McPhee wide of the play. Apparently he's really showing off that strength that I think a lot of Ravens fans were excited that he was bringing. And it's not like he's doing this against, Chauncey Rivers, who, by the way, is no longer with the team. He's not doing this with a bunch of slouches. He's doing this against Pernell McPhee and Tyus Bowser, who are going to be getting a very large amount of snaps in this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive stuff. Obviously, I'm sure he's not an absolutely polished product. But one of the things we know about Ben Cleveland, I think one of the reasons that people have him plugged in as the day one starter in his first year is that he's got a high floor, right? And so he's an older guy coming out of college. I think he was in college for 7 years, maxed out his eligibility and everything else, if I'm not mistaken. But absolutely, it might have been 6. But either way, he was there for a long time. He's a developed player at this point. So I'm excited for that. But I'm also, like I said before, I try not to end on a bad note, but certainly I'm concerned about the lack of reps together. But if you can make anything a positive, it is that this might be a proper simulation of what the season is. A guy gets banged up for a week. You need to switch spots. You need to know how to work next to this guy. So maybe I'm just trying to do my best impersonation of John Harbaugh, but they're trying to make something that's a challenge into an opportunity to grow, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one guy who's really benefiting most from all these injuries is Patrick Mccarthy. I mean, this guy, they're saying he's been playing left tackle out of pure necessity. And, we don't want to see him in a regular season game at left tackle, but now he has literally played every position on the offensive line since he's been here in Baltimore, whether that be in practice or in the games. And, yeah, there's no doubt that's impressive. What do you want from your backup O-lineman more than versatility? And this guy has shown just that. So I think he has now solidified his spot on this roster. No doubt about it. Mccarthy will be on this team. But just to double down a little bit on Ben Cleveland, Nana Rave, I think this was Nana Rave sent us I'm not sure who she was quoting or if she was just giving her own take, but apparently knocked down Bowser. Then he had a real nice push on the nose tackle, pushed Pernell McPhee wide of the play, was really doing nice on some pass pro and scanning and helping out the left tackle when need be. And again, got a really nice push on the defensive tackle. So that's encouraging because when we started all this, we said, what are the spots that worry you most? And obviously Stanley's injury, that was worrisome. Is he going to be ready week one? But the second one right behind that is Ben Cleveland going to live up to the hype? Is he going to be ready week one to take on a Raiders team who's going to be hype, open up a new stadium, fans are going to be there? Is he going to be ready to go? And then, of course, Kansas City right on the heels of that first game. So we need him to be ready right away, and the reports are that he has been very impressive. He's a man's man. He's a man. And then also, tell him we're hearing some good stuff about Bozeman.
Yeah, absolutely. That was another good thing as well, is that I'm really happy. Of course, the first day without pads and everything else, everyone talked about him whipping the glove off, getting upset. There's a little bit of inconsistency. John talked about chasing perfection and the timing of the snaps needing to be perfect, the placement, all those things based on the activity we have in the backfield. But Bozeman said he feels extremely good, extremely natural. He feels extremely comfortable, and he's feeling great about the transition. And we're also hearing that from some sources. But the most important thing is that it's coming from him in this scenario, because I think snapping the football, similar to shooting a free throw or a penalty kick in soccer, or I don't know, something in golf, maybe a simple putt, I think it's all about what's between your ears, right? So he's feeling comfortable. He's feeling good. And I think that's huge for this team because Bradley Bozeman knows his offense, been here for years, reliable. He's proven to be a quality starter. If we can move him to center, and we're not talking about a slight drop off, in my opinion, we're talking about an improvement.
No doubt.
Not only in snapping, but of course, once the ball's snapped, we already know he's a better blocker than Mccarthy and who's the Skura. Skura would get flipped around like a top, right? So certainly I think that there's an upgrade there. And we like the big beefy guys, right? He's bigger than both of them. So I'm excited about Bozeman. I think he's doing his thing. And I tell you what, Bozeman is going to get paid. If it isn't by us, it's by somebody else. He's going to get paid.
I really hope we don't have to watch another center that we like walk out the door. But I would be stunned if Bozeman's gone. Just by his activity in the community plus his play on the field, I would be really surprised to see him not get an extension. But there's a lot of guys do. So, they got to make some choices.
Julian over here. Hey, we did it for you guys, man. Look, no days off. The Ravens are all about the grind, stacking days. Here at 410 Sports Talk, we're doing the same thing. We are here for you guys in the russet potato.
That's right. Yeah, we were going to do it outside by the lake, but it's a little stormy tonight. So we had to go to the safe confines inside. But, kind of flipping just on the other side of the line of scrimmage, but in the trenches, remaining in the trenches, while the reports haven't been great about the offensive line, which was certainly a concern coming in this year, the biggest concern coming into this year has been the pass rush. And, boy, the reports are good right now, Jimbo. Odafe Owe is apparently – hold on, where's that microphone cover? Where is it? We're going to put some Cholula on that thing.
Don't you worry.
You Odafe Owe is looking good. He was beating Villanueva like a drum. He was taking on these backup tackles and going right around them, using speed, using power. Are you starting to get a little more nervous?
Look, Glenn, let me tell you.
Let me see this thing.
You see this?
First of all, this does not seem edible.
First of all, if I have to eat this, I will consult my doctor beforehand.
Don't punk out on us. So
know that. Let me ask you this, a modification. Can I fill this with something as I eat it? Like, can I do ice cream in there and just
all peanut butter?
Like it's a cup. Ooh. Maybe not all peanut butter. I can do peanut butter and ice cream.
Yeah, there you go.
We're getting real fat over here. But this is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. The way that you see this today is the way it will be at the end of eating this.
I can There we go.
We're back.
Hi, guys.
I have picked de facto Odafe Owe hater, and it's not that. I think that he has talent. I think that he has upside. But think about guys. Forget the name. If you had to bet on a rookie getting double-digit sacks in the NFL, and add to the fact that he got no sacks the senior year, telling me you're not taking that bet.
No, it's a smart bet, but I have nothing to lose here.
No, you have nothing to lose. My only point is that I don't want you guys to think that I don't like the kid, don't think that he doesn't have ability, but I am in wait-and-see mode with Udafe. I have to see it on the field because I've seen the videos, I've seen the 4.39, I've seen the physique, I've seen all those things. But I need to see the production on the field. At the end of the day, that's just what it is. I hope he can do it, and I think he will have a relatively productive season. And you're right, Julian, that he's new. Like, he's new as a football player, so I think that his ceiling, we don't even know what it is yet. The very opposite of what we're talking about with Ben Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Where we feel like he's already a mature football player in his own right.
Yeah.
Udafe is the exact opposite. All I'm saying is that 10 sacks is hard to come by, period. Matthew Judon never did it. And so to do it in your rookie year might be difficult. But not might be. I mean, it absolutely is difficult. So I think he will be productive, and I think he will get close. I still think Calais Campbell will have more sacks than him this year.
Yeah, and I think I might be eating a McBanger because the reports on Calais
there we go.
have been that when of course this was, albeit was when Stanley was out and Villanueva had a day off, and as well as Zeitler leaving early. Calais Campbell, they said, would have had 4 or 5 sacks if tackling was allowed. This guy's been eating them up, whether it's inside or outside, putting pressure on the quarterbacks and really stuffing the run as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm at least encouraged to hear a lot of good reports coming out about the pass rush. And then, of course, if you haven't checked it out, we did a video talking about Justin Houston coming to town and just adding that guy. I mean, it's like Martindale said, 97.5 sacks. Yeah, I think we can find some space for that, adding to the defense. And it was really cool to hear Marcus Peters got in on the recruitment game and called him and got him over here. Marcus Peters called Houston one of the all-time great leaders. So adding another, not just a great pass rusher, but another great guy to the locker room, I think, is a huge, huge boost to a position that was of the utmost, need heading into this season. So I'm excited, but I'll tell you this, I think that there's a chance Class might get to that Hunter. He might get 8. I didn't think it was, but if he's looking this fresh, I mean, of course, it's early in camp and things can happen, but I like to hear that the pass rush is impressive.
But I'll tell you one of the things I really love about Calais. He's, 34, 35, something around there. This man loves running through the brick wall. He embraces it. And what I mean by that is that, you watch these shorts, these little wires of training camp and stuff like that. Calais Campbell loves everything about football. The hard stuff, the easy stuff, training camp. He just loves it. And I'm excited to have a guy that passionate about it going in this late in the season, in his career, potentially his last, the last season of his career.
Like you said, emptying the tank.
Yeah, emptying the tank. And I'll tell you what, Prince Quan, I'm going to rebut your comment. Seems like always speed is translating. I will agree with that. But, oh, man, I forgot how it was. Oh, we said the same thing about old Miles Boykin in his rookie year coming out of training. What did we say about Miles Boykin coming out of training? This man looks grown. He looks big. He looks strong. And what we get. Yeah,
matter of fact, we might get into it.
All right, let's do it.
Obviously, this was a season.
Actually, hold on. Before we switch, you said something about Justin Metabike that I thought was awesome. Before we switch off the defensive line, this is cool.
Yeah, Bozeman was asked about Justin Metabike, and Bozeman said he has been one of the very hardest people he's ever had to move on a defensive line.
How is that?
That's as good as it gets. Now, a season for him. This is a season in which he had a lot of built-in excuses last year. Not that he used them, but I'm saying he had a lot in the true offseason,
right?
And all the troubles they went through. Young guy, there's not a lot of young guys in the group. He's certainly one of them. Him and Broderick. They need his youth. I mean, there's those older guys. No, like 2-3 weeks. Youth in that he can continue to grow, and it sounds like well in the early parts of camp. But let's get into this wide receiver position. I'm excited to talk. We really said they could keep 5, they could keep 7, they could keep. We don't know how many they're going to keep, but we do know this: 5 locks on the team, 5 absolute stone cold locks, and then there's a bunch of guys fighting for. We don't know how many spots.
Yep.
we don't know if there are any spots.
And who knows? They might not even know at this point. It's got to just flesh itself out during camp, right? Like,
no doubt. I'm sure some of the coaches are probably thinking, I wouldn't be that mad to see an injury help kind of make some of these decisions for us because it's going to be tough. I mean, but we talked about Miles Boykin. The guy is not doing himself any favors. So the last report I've seen coming out of camp about him is he dropped 2 passes pretty much consecutive, left the field, left practice with a leg injury, and did not return. So, man, this is about as bad as it could get for a guy who needs to take advantage of all the snaps and needs to be out there. And now he wasn't taking advantage when he was out there, but off. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, mine is because I just find it hard that the Ravens are up on him so quickly. Not quickly. I shouldn't say so quickly, but he was a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
But we're hearing such approach. I mean, you saw the one-hand catch in the end zone. You can tell this kid's putting in work. They said almost every day, if not every day, he's been the first to practice every single time. I mean, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Right? Let the outcome be the outcome, but control what you can control. Right? And that's something he can control. Same thing with Dionne Cain. We saw Daniel Jeremiah today give a shout out to the practice. He knows well. And in fact, the Ravens are a big reason holding his respect office, the scouting team has there here in Baltimore. I think it makes a big difference. So, man, I'm still nervous. I had to get cut. I'll say this: Boykins. I don't think that Prochet is getting cut anymore. I have officially changed my mind. The kid is doing too much.
Yeah, some are saying that he's got the best hands on the team right now, and he's showing that off. The question is, can he separate? And can he do it consistently? Because I think he automatically brings the team as far as versatility Boykin does because of the return ability and the fact that if Duvernay were to get hurt, he's the obvious replacement to go in and do that well. So Boykin, man, I just don't see a path to this roster right now. He's got to get back on the field for Boykin. He's got to get back on the field. He's got to start making some
crazy
catches.
To say, right?
Absolutely crazy of a pick, but I think at this point the Ravens are in win now mode, and they're not going to mess around with keeping guys just based on their draft status, especially when now. I mean, it's not like we've seen a lot from Boykin, and it's going to be hard for him to gain the trust of the coaches or Lamar Jackson at this point.
Yeah. So how do you see it? Let me ask you this way: do you think it's more likely that they keep 7 and that James and Boykin make it, or that they go 6 and just Prochet makes it? What do you think is more?
I think if you just give me those 2, I think it's 6 and it's Prochet.
Okay.
But we're hearing an awful lot about Dionne Cain.
Yep.
He went down. He beat Marlin for a 40-yard touchdown. He mentioned Daniel Jeremiah was hyping him up, calling him the sleeper in the Ravens receiver core. We saw Torrey Smith tweeting about the receiver core and said they look good. And I don't think he's just talking about the top. I think he's talking about their depth as well. So yeah, it's gonna. I think that there's a chance they keep 7. There's no way they keep more than 7, right? No way they.
Yeah,
keep
no. I mean, I think that's untenable, right? Like it's something that they just can't do because you said it before. You're in win now mode. You need to get as many. Our corner room is just too deep to do something that's irregular in that way.
Yep.
And then on top of that, with not the defensive line, but also the way that we're irregular in the backfield in that we're going to have really, 2 fullbacks on the team unless we send Ben Mason to IR.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I say that to say, I don't think 7 or anything more than 7 would be, possible.
So if it's 7, does Boykin find his way into the 7th spot, or are we talking
I think if
Dionne Cain?
No, I think
because remember, Dionne Cain isn't small. He could fill that role,
but he's real wiry. He's got a really slight lower half. He's really wiry, not built like Miles Boykin. I think if they have 7, Miles Boykin has enough value in strictly his blocking and his knowledge of the system to make the roster.
I see Raven Ron says keep 6. Boykin makes the cut. So that means Prochet is gone. Prochet right now has been making too many plays to get slid through the practice squad, right?
Yep. Yeah. No. And then the Ravens, John of all coaches like this, but John, I believe, is a merit-based coach. And he doesn't care about your draft status. You've seen it. The Ravens have taken how many undrafted guys and turned them into something, right? How many undrafted guys and they've made the active roster? Undrafted rookies, not just undrafted guys that have gone throughout their career. We're talking first-year guys. And so, based on that, I think that John would reward for someone like Prochet for earning his spot on the team. I mean, that's what he's done, right?
Yeah.
He's done so far. He's done nothing but earn his spot. Now we got a lot left. I know that preseason game tonight, and between the Cowboys and the Steelers, pretty crazy that it's already upon us. At the end of the day, we got a lot of snaps left in preseason, so things could change. But as of right now, I think John would not let something like that happen based on how hard James has worked.
Yeah, because both are draft picks.
Right.
Certainly one is higher than the other, but what kind of example are you setting to the team if everyone in the room knows that Prochet outplayed Boykin the entire camp?
Yep. And
yet Boykin makes the team simply because he was picked a few rounds ahead of time. I think that would be a bad precedent to set, and also just a bad signal to show to the rest of the team that draft status is more important than your play in camp and in preseason. So talking about some of the other receivers, a little worrisome when we saw Bateman was back out there with his team. Plays, Jimbo. This guy, he could be the one. He could be finally the one that Ravens fans have been waiting to see get drafted by the Ravens, a true number 1. The guy looks phenomenal. He's doing it against every corner you put in front of him. It's not like he's just picking on the bad ones. He's doing it about every single one.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. When I saw the video of him beating Marlon, I got chills thinking of the eye of Jackson having a true number 1, having a true number 1. I mean, look, I felt good about this kid when we drafted him, but his presser, when he talked about he's about work, and he's very matter of fact in his answering. He's very result guy. He's all about action. He's not about he's not about talking. He's not about talking.
He's not about laughing, joking.
He's very Kawhi Leonard-esque in that way, and that's all right with me as long as it shows up on the field, of course. So I'm excited about our boy Rashad Bateman. I'm really excited for him to take off, because you could tell Humphreys was a little upset. Pride was a little injured after that one.
Because it looked easy.
Yeah, I mean, he got smoked.
Yeah, absolute separation. What do you think, Jimbo? Living Legend said Rashad Greatman.
Hey!
And Prince Quan says no. Rashad Batman?
Ooh.
What do you think?
I like the Rashad Greatman a little better because phonetically it's closer to his right. It's closer to his name.
Yeah.
But I like Rashad Batman though.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And look, Christopher Shook, I'm starting to come over to your side. I'm starting to come over to the Trace McSorley side. Only because, let me just read you some of these reports, Jimbo.
I know. Yeah, let's hop over to the quarterback position, because let me tell you what, while you pull those up, ladies and gentlemen, we are dying for Lamar Jackson, because apparently every day the defense has just overwhelmed us. Yes, different is he's going to swing the order of the offense.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he'll make a little bit of a difference, right?
Who's that? Are you kidding me?
A little bit.
It's been bad news. It's been versus varsity, and the defense has been feeling themselves lately. It'll be nice to get the grade 8 back out there.
And look at this to follow it up. Hollywood is Robin.
There we go. I don't know if Hollywood wants to do that.
I don't think he wants to hear all that.
I'll tell you what, Hollywood needs to get his butt back on the field. We almost didn't talk about it. Thanks, Prince Quan, for bringing him up.
Yep.
It's frustrating to me because, we like Hollywood. We understand that maybe he's not besting all the receivers taken in his draft class, and those guys taken after him kind of leave some Ravens fans with a little sour taste because they see DK, they see AJ Brown, they see Terry McLaurin, they see all these guys doing their thing. But we were high on him. We said this is the first year with no surgeries. This is the first year with a full off season, new coaches. His best friend is the quarterback.
New number, new tats, new
and then
physique.
he comes in and he tweaks his hamstring, which tells me he wasn't ready to run. And that just blows my mind that you're a receiver. That's your job, is to run like crazy. If you come in and you tweak a hammy, you weren't ready to run. And that just drives me absolutely crazy. Now you get a ligament thing. You didn't have this. You didn't twist an ankle. He tweaked a hammy because he wasn't ready to run, Jimbo.
Yep. Yeah, you got to stretch, man. You got to warm the body up. Of course, it's not made from going to cold, 0 to 100. Just not made that way. So, yeah, it's certainly frustrating because he's obviously put in the work, but the details matter. When you turn yourself into a well-oiled machine, right, as he has, because of his work ethic, the details make a difference. And so, yeah, that is frustrating. And it's even more frustrating that he hobbled off and John's like, or John or whoever, it's not the reports were coming out from the internal team. That's not a big deal.
Yep.
And it's been how many days now?
And now he's starting to say it's worse than we thought. And this just brings back flashes of Bashad Perryman. And that just is something I didn't want to see. But, yeah, let's get into this backup quarterback position because both of us penciled in Tyler Huntley as the backup.
Right?
Yeah, and then we thought, well, because we knew they're only keeping 2. They got to have a third that open up that third quarterback spot for another team, spot on the roster. And now the reports are coming out that Tyler Huntley has been stinking up the joint. Apparently, in 11-on-11 drills, he had 3 picks and an 8-pass span, including 2 in a row. And McSorley has been the exact opposite of that. He had a 10 straight where he completed. He's got a great rapport with Bateman, getting the ball out in rhythm and just playing at a much higher level. Now, I will say this. I see a bunch of people saying, I see one guy, Benjamin, saying that Trace can't run. I think that you're selling Trace a little short from his athleticism. I mean, this guy can run a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying he's out there, he's going to outrun Huntley in a race, but to say that Trace McSorley can't run, that's like he's no Joe Flacco. He's not like he's a statue out there. I mean,
well, and let's not forget they originally thought they could bring him in and do some stuff on special teams with him. So certainly he's got the athletic ability.
And honestly, if you look up their yards per carry, I believe in their very young careers, albeit, he has a better yards per carry than Tyler Huntley. So, and I think neither one is impressive. I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. Neither one has been very impressive, but yeah, I mean, let's not sell Trace that short. I think the guy's got some athleticism and he can certainly run and keep the defense at least somewhat honest.
Yep.
But the last time we did see him run, Jimbo, he tweaked that knee. It didn't go well for him.
Nope.
So, that's certainly a concern. But what are your thoughts on Tyler Huntley? Is this now back up in the air? You're not willing to give it to Tyler?
I'm riding with Huntley still because I have, he's got the blood in his veins. Based on his time at Utah, I feel confident. But I have to say this about Trace McSorley. This is something that I've noticed from day one that he's come in. There's some people that just touch, right? Joe, no touch. I mean, Joe was throwing flamethrowers, right? Like 2 feet off his check. I mean, he was breaking guys' fingers, right? But Trace McSorley to me has always had touch on the I feel like he started to increase his other skills to kind of go around that and his technical abilities, and he could take this job, man. I do think that Tyler Huntley's still going to get it, but I'm not surprised that Trace McSorley is taking advantage of every opportunity that's given to him. I'm sure I know for a fact he's already a more accurate passer than Tyler Huntley is. Tyler's got he's got the cannon, the laser. He's got the leadership ability. He's able to play under big pressure. So what I'm saying is that I'm not surprised that McSorley is showing out.
Yeah.
But I think that Huntley could still take the job. Now, this is the other thing I will say about Tyler Huntley. Tyler, if you're watching the show, this is no knock. I do think you're a good leader, and I do think you have a lot of skills. Like he's watching the show. I'm talking.
He might be.
Oh yeah, we know he's.
I'd be curious if I was a player
for sure. But this is the one thing I want to say: the most prepared. And so no, this could be an early of the work that Huntley has done to prepare himself to hit the ground running. But that means that Tyler isn't going to come in, throughout camp and then surpass him.
Yeah.
So it could be a little bit of that. sticking with Tyler.
It could come down to who plays better in those preseason games, who's the better decision maker under the bright lights. Because while we may look at preseason games as not high pressure, it certainly is for bubble guys. It certainly is. I mean, these guys are trying to make the team and continue to live their NFL dreams. And so those games, while insignificant in the grand scheme of things, are extremely important to them. And you better believe there's nerves attached to those games. So it could come down to who plays better in those games. I guarantee we'll see this, Jimbo. We'll see an alternating thing. We'll see, Trace come in first in one game, then Tyler in the next, and then Trace. They'll make sure they give them both the proper time to try and get on some type of rhythm out there, and certainly work with the better guys on the roster.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, but I'm a little surprised to hear Tyler not throwing the ball as well as we were anticipating, and Trace throwing it much better than we were expecting. But look, Trace has been in monster games at Penn State, absolutely huge games with over 100,000 people watching him, which is bigger than any NFL stadium he'll see this year.
Yep.
So it's certainly not like this guy's unfamiliar.
Yeah,
I mean, exactly. So, but yeah, let's keep that. It's something we didn't expect to be such a heated.
Yeah,
I guess we should have.
Maybe Tyler Huntley's having a little too much fun in the off season.
Think so?
He's having a little too much fun, not doing enough time preparing himself.
It could be. It could be. Or Trace could just be better.
He could just be point blank better. You're right.
That's a very real possibility as well. So
that'd be a hard one for me to admit.
Yeah, that's because that's your guy.
Yeah, that'd be a hard one for me to admit. That's for sure.
Yeah, can we? Yes, we are. I know our picture's a little rough. You guys are new, jumping in. We're out in the middle of nowhere, so we're trying to do it. We did our show. We did a recorded version. It took 3 hours to upload it, so we're going live.
We're on dial-up here.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. But internet is not why we came here. We came here for other things, and we were hopeful that the internet would be good enough. But it's been good enough to at least keep us with you.
Yep, and we're here for you guys. At the end of the day, we love being with you guys, and we appreciate you chiming in. So that's why we're here, right? No days off.
No days off, like Big Bill says. So let me ask you this though. When I was thinking about the team, I was looking at some of the pressers, some of the quotes coming out of the pressers, and it was really cool seeing Orion back there behind the podium, and he was raving about Wink Martindale. He talked about Wink. He said, "Yeah, I've been hearing about this McVay system and offensively, but you guys need to talk a little bit more about the genius that is Wink Martindale." Really heaping praise on him. He said, and he knew he was smart. He just didn't know. He was just very impressed with his system. So are you, when you hear the defense has been dominating, is this just something you expected with Lamar out, or is this something that is getting you more excited hearing?
So I give Wink praise. I'm going to sound like a Debbie Downer right now, Glenn. But, man, it's just really hard for me. I agree with you. I think Wink is the best DC in the league. I think that he's brilliant. But he got taken to task by Andy Reid. He got taken to task by Andy Reid, and he had not a single, not a single answer for Andy Reid.
Yeah.
And so Wink is really, really, really incredible. But, man, Andy Reid really knocked him down a few pegs for me. So it's still, I know he's done so many good things, but it's so hard for me to get that memory out of my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it wasn't just Mahomes. You could tell that, one was playing checkers and one was playing chess. And Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame coach. One of the greatest play callers of all time. I think that's a fair statement to say, right? Because, he's always had a high-powered offense, always been creative, always been on the cutting edge of innovation when it comes to offensive play call. So, difficult one for me. But I still think that he needs a little more credit, needs a little more love. I think it's crazy that, if I'm not mistaken, he got 0 requests for head coaching interviews
this offseason.
Offseason, I know he had one with the Giants. I think it was
the Giants,
and they chose Judge. Good pick, guys. But of course, another guy from the Belichick just gonna crash and burn, right? Did you hear about the brawl they got in the other day?
Yeah, nice little kerfuffle.
Yeah, Daniel was in there. Old Danny Dimes was in there. Yeah,
mixing things up.
Yeah, but anyway, the point is that I think Wink is great. I think he deserves more, especially from a head coaching perspective, but I do want to see him get over the hill.
Yeah, he's got to put it together against these big teams. But let's not give him. Look, it just seemed like that was just a bad game plan. whatever. Not even necessarily a bad game. I mean, I guess it was. But
it's a tough matchup.
And it was
really
just like the
matchup.
perfect storm. Like their offensive game plan was perfect. It just killed the Ravens' defensive game, and really offensively as well. We didn't really do much well that day at all. But it's just cool to hear like a guy like the Rob Ryan, who's been on defense since he was literally born,
right?
And be impressed with Wink's.
Yeah, for him to keep so much praise onto Wink Martindale, who, like you said, you're a Ryan, you've seen it all.
You cannot surprise a Ryan with anything defensively. You just can't do it. So it was cool to see his excitement, working with Wink. So
I like Fabian Barcena's comment. He said Danny Dimes at the bottom of the pile because he might have fumbled.
That's right. He might have been getting in there, man.
Trying to get that football back. That's right.
Gotta do it.
For sure. But I do like the comment. Overall, I think that's awesome. And I also think the Ryans are not guys that will just blow smoke.
No. No, they're straight shooters. I mean,
right.
Almost to a fault. Certainly Rex has put his foot in his mouth a couple times by being a little bit too honest. And, absolutely. But I can't wait for Tuesday. Now, look, it seems like if everything goes well, Lamar will be back on the field.
John, expecting tomorrow. I haven't heard anything.
It's Saturday, depending on, if he's going to be able to practice. I'm not sure if he has to pass the conditioning test. If that's the case, maybe I don't know if he has any residual effects.
I think he was set to practice on that
So he already
Tuesday.
passed.
So I'm pretty sure he already passed the conditioning
Okay, so
test.
hopefully, fingers crossed, he's back out there tomorrow because, man, having Lamar out there is such a difference offensively. It's hard to even gauge much offensively without Lamar out there. And the same goes for every team in the league, unless it's Philly because they got Big Joe back there as backup.
That's right.
He can,
or wherever Nick Foles happens to be playing. Right?
That's right. Who might be going to Indy soon after the Wentz injury.
Oh my God.
News coming out of there. It's crazy. But I just can't wait because then we'll get a true gauge of not just the offense, but the defense as well. Right now, the defense is really feeling themselves. But let's see if that energy remains the same.
That's right. When Lamar's cutting them up a little bit and putting them on their backside, right? I mean, man, and then Gus will get back as well.
Gus will be back out there. But let's talk about who has been out there in J.K. Dobbins because I know you're a big fan of him.
Yep.
Not only is he a heck of a player, but he's vegan. That helps you.
That's right.
He learned Spanish.
That's right. Just because?
Just to do it because he thinks it's cool. So this guy's really climbing the ranks as far as
that's right. As far as a place in my heart.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on him? I know you're a Gus guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is he starting to inch in a little bit on your love for Gus and take a little bit out of it?
Well, it'll be hard because, as you know, Glenn, I'm a sucker for a good story. A sucker for a good story.
It's hard to find a better story than Gus Edwards.
Right. So because Gus Edwards was given nothing as far as his chance in the NFL, and he turned it into something. So it would be really hard for me. JK was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Went to a big-name school. He came in right away and was given playing time. We didn't even know who Gus Edwards was before he started. And this is the crazy thing. As soon as he started, even in the preseason, he was popping off the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that thing. I think we had a phone conversation. I was actually in Vegas for work, and we were talking on the phone. I said, "Who is this Edwards guy?"
Yep.
And we didn't really know much about him at that point, right?
Yep.
So it would be hard for me, because of that story. But I tell you what, J.K. Dobbins could certainly, as far as favorite, that's one thing. But most talented back, and I know that's a far climb because you got Ray, extremely talented, Ray Rice. Jamal Lewis, extremely talented.
Yep.
But I think J.K. has all the tools in the tool set to be, one, the most well-rounded back we've ever had, two, the most talented back we've ever had. I don't know if he'll be the most accomplished based on what Jamal did.
And Ray Rice.
And Ray Rice. But he has every chance to be the most talented back we've ever had.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what this kid does this year. I'm looking forward to it, man. I don't even know what to say. I think this kid is going to be electric when he gets the ball in his hands.
Yeah, the reports, I think Daniel Jeremiah said, buy all the J.K. Dobbins stock you can buy. So I guess, take him on your fantasy teams. Apparently they're loving what they're seeing. And he said it. I want to be one of the greats. And to do that, I got to improve in some areas, including my pass receiving. So he's been seen running wheel routes down the sideline, making catches, not just those short range catches, those dump downs, but making catches down the field as well, which, that's encouraging. But one thing I did hear that I was a little not thrilled about is the pass blocking from the backs has not been great. You know, the offensive line's been banged up.
That's because old 35 ain't out there.
See, that's where I think we really get some help because he can put some punch back into that running back room.
Because when you run into Gus Edwards,
you feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it. So, yeah, we need to see a little bit of that. But, yeah, I'm really excited to see what JK does this year in this offense with, you know, just a ridiculously overhauled offensive line. Hopefully they're all out there, you know, clearing holes for him because right now the defensive line is dominating and feeling themselves. So, yeah, hopefully Lamar will be back. JK will get back doing his thing. Gus, of course, out there doing his thing, making some noise.
Those two are a well-oiled machine, man. I mean, the connection that they have, good luck any defense stopping that as long as the offensive line is somewhat competent at that point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just because the scheme alone just causes so much deception.
Yeah, the scheme attached with the talent and the difference in running style between those two, it's just something special, right? Yep. Now, this is what I want to get to, Glenn. Chris Griffith says, who do you guys think could be a shocking player to make the 53? Now, this is something we've got to talk about again because we did our 53-man roster prediction before Justin Houston.
Yeah, got to change it.
And basically our difference was I had Justin Ellis out. And who did you have out? Was it
you had a tight end and I didn't have Oliver.
I had Oliver in.
We gotta talk about him.
You had Oliver out.
I did. I had Jelly in.
And how are you feeling right now about your 53?
I still don't know how he makes it because now Justin Houston's in the fold, and really what I'm doing is I'm cutting Jalen.
Right. So so I'm with you. You cut Jalen.
I'm not cutting I'm not cutting Ellis. He's too valuable. They brought him back. I can't see him not making the team.
So what about Oliver?
I think Oliver is going to be the stash guy. I think this is going to be a guy they hide, and not just IR, but I mean like hide him in the preseason and then try and slide him through the practice squad, because then you can use that taxi service. You can bounce guys. Then you can bounce guys up and down and stuff like that. Because who else are you going to cut? I mean, I just don't know how I can't see how they're going to get rid of one of the offensive linemen. We already have them cutting Bredesen, who's a recent pick.
Yeah, that's crazy. But really only cutting him because the chances of getting into the practice squad are really good.
Better than Powers.
Yeah, definitely better than Powers, for sure. So, yeah, it's hard for me as well. I obviously, like I said, in our 53-man, I do think there's some certain redundancy between Justin Ellis and a Broderick Washington and obviously Big Baby Brandon Williams. Man, I'm going way back, showing my age right now, talking about Big Baby Davis.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But no, certainly, and I'll stick to that for now. But it's really going to be interesting. I think that our boy Fergie is out.
Fergie is gone, and I don't even. One report came out today that he had some activity today. I'm not buying it. I think he's gone. I mean, he just hasn't done enough, and when he saw Justin Houston come in the door, he had to know that his days were numbered. The only chance is that, for him, is that somebody loved him when the draft process was and they pick him up on their team. I would be absolutely stunned. I just don't see it.
Yeah, and the only other thing that could save him, I mean, he was standing next to Calais in the video I saw, and I was like, man, Jalen Ferguson, he might not be very well, like he's not like a real Cock Diesel type guy, but he's certainly not a small guy. He's got, like we've talked about before, there might be a chance for him to slide in some inside. There's some whispering behind that. So that might be the only other, like, skin of his teeth saving grace is if they try and do that and see a little bit of movement there, see a little bit of light, turn the light bulb on a little bit.
Could be. We have to see it in the games, certainly.
Absolutely.
Now, I saw somebody earlier. Let me see here if I can find it. Oh, yeah, they asked about who's your favorite undrafted rookie, and he said Cain. Cain is not an undrafted rookie. He was a futures player signed by the team.
Yeah, he played with the Steelers.
Yeah, exactly. He was a guy who was drafted by another team, but not the Ravens, but certainly was a drafted player. I mean, the favorite undrafted rookie is Ardarius Washington, but I will say this. Haven't heard a peep about Ardarius coming out of camp so far.
Yeah, it's a little concerning. It's good and bad, right?
Yeah.
In that, yeah, he's not showing up, but we're also not here. Like, we've heard negative things about Boykin. We've heard negative things about – not negative, but we've heard detrimental things about guys going off the sideline when it comes to them making the team, getting hurt and things like that. So we know he's healthy. We know he's practicing. And it doesn't sound like at the very least he's getting worked. Because we hear about it. So at least that's good. And what do you think about your boy here? Daquan Jones says, we keep Oliver. He showed out the stadium practice.
Well, I think what somebody made a comment earlier, and let me see if I can give him credit, because I think this is I think it was Cam Wee. Cam Wee says Nick Boyle starts out on PUP list, and that's how Oliver gets on the roster. And now that's completely possible.
Yeah.
If he's not ready week one, then I think right now Oliver is the odds-on favorite to win the tight end spot because somebody's got to be out there. And then Ben Mason does some blocking duties along with Ricard.
Right.
And then they use Oliver and Manders as their primary pass catchers down the field. I think that would be awesome to hear. Now, I'd also like to see my guy Nick Boyle out there. I mean, that's also kind of an unfortunate consequence there. I don't love the fact that means he's going to be gone for 6 weeks. I mean, that I don't want to hear that because he is a valuable. I mean, we saw when he went down, it was felt in the room. So I'm not necessarily thrilled to hear that, but I think that would be a nice spot for him to slide in. And Christopher Shook is the defense rests. McSorley ran 0.01 slower than Huntley. Had a far more accomplished statistical career in both the air and the ground.
Yeah.
So as far as anyone hating on whether he can do it, I think he certainly can.
And I don't think we even ever said that. Certainly he's got all the talent, but a lot of it has to do with scheme fit.
Yeah. And we were impressed with Tyler when he came into that playoff game, showed that type of poise, moved the ball well, missed the one big throw. But other than that, I thought he played really with a lot of poise there. And Trace hasn't shown a lot in game day. I mean, we remember when he came in that Cleveland game.
Yeah, it was not much there.
It wasn't pretty. So I think there was just a lot, still left to be desired there when it came to Trace. I think this is really shaping out to be one of the most interesting position battles on the entire team, which is funny considering it's not even a starting position.
Right. It's the guy we never want to see in a single game in the regular season or obviously in the postseason at all. Right. Yeah. And I tell you what, we talk a lot with Nana Rave and Twitter and things like that. Shout out to Nana Rave, man. Pumping up the likes.
Let me just say this, Nana. You put a comment out of that 1:25 in the morning in our last video because it took so long for it to upload because of the internet we're on. So yeah, thank you for your continued support and always keeping us supplied with all the new information that comes out and always DMing us on Twitter. Shout out to you. Appreciate you.
No, absolutely, man. We appreciate all the love. So I mean, what other can't so the other thing I want to mention here is somebody said this quote from that watch on the ball, they're blitzing or when the ball's in the air.
Okay.
That's good. That's consistent with his MO.
Yep.
Right? That's what we heard in college, that he was a knack to, he had a knack for the football.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I read an article when he was coming out. I would never compare him to this, but people have compared him to Tyrann Mathieu. I'm not making that comparison. I'm not making that leap. Somebody else did that. Let me make that clear. I read an article about it. But any shades as far as being that type of player would be very welcomed, of course, here in Baltimore, and definitely earn him a spot on this roster. I feel confident. I think he's our number 3 safety coming out. But let me ask you this, Glenn. Over, under. What's his name? Tavon Young was in front of the mic for the first time.
Yeah.
Said he's feeling good. Over, under.
Man.
Over, under 4 games.
Oh, don't do this to me, Jimbo.
4.5, I guess I got to go, right?
If you go 4.5, just because I want to be optimistic, I'm going to say over.
Yes.
I'm going to say over because, I mean, eventually.
Yeah. Look, let me tell you a story, Glenn, okay?
All right.
So when I was a kid, so this is a perfect story time because when I was a kid, we would come up to Maine once a year, and we would haul all 6 of us. There was 4 kids, my parents, in a Crown Vic, like the old cop cars, right? It had 2 bench seats.
Yeah.
And that thing was a hunk of junk. Okay, everything that could have broken on it broke. I mean, everything. New transmission, new motor, the wheels locked up coming off 95. I mean, anything you think of went wrong. But it finally got to a point where we replaced everything. And nothing else could go wrong. We already spent all the money.
Everything's brand new.
Right. So at what point is Tavon just bionicle, right?
Bionicle.
And his ACLs are completely repaired. All the ligaments and knees are completely repaired. Yeah. And they're stronger than before. Is that a possibility?
I'm certainly hopeful.
I'm feeling.
Yeah, I mean, that's an optimistic way to look at it, and I hope you're right. I think it's also, like Vinny Serrato's always used to say, hurt guys usually stay hurt, unfortunately. And I hope he's wrong about this case. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to bank on anything. I tell you what, if you get half a season out of them,
yeah,
I bet the coaches, if you gave them some truth serum, they'd look at that as a win. I mean, the only question is it the first half?
I was just thinking this name, Thomas Davis.
Yeah.
I think he missed his first 3 years, something crazy,
and then turned
like
into an absolute machine.
And those Panthers, good thing they stuck on. They stuck with him because him and Kuechly together.
Yeah, that was a scary combination.
Yeah, so you just never know with these things, right? You just never know.
Yeah, but if he does stay healthy, oh my goodness, look out, because he's just a special guy, and I think he's the key to keeping everyone where they truly belong defensively. Now, the good thing is we got Marlon, who's so good at both. I mean, he's almost just as good as inside as he is outside, and that's certainly a benefit. But to have him stay healthy all year, then it just gives you so many more options to do with the back end and keep guys healthy and keep guys in roles that they can really excel. So I'm hopeful.
It allows us to deploy Jimmy in the correct spots as well.
Yeah.
To not rely on him in a high volume type, to take a high volume of snaps, but to be able to deploy him when we need him as he's getting older. And he's an extremely talented player.
Yeah.
But he's always had a little bit of a pitch count or else he's getting injured. So
yeah, he's got to start making some better decisions. I remember when he got hurt last year, he decided to cut a tight end who was coming out and as a lead blocker,
right,
and just destroyed his shoulder into the turf. So hopefully he decided, make some better decisions, make sure he understands that we need him out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that's a nice, of course you try and make every tackle, but let's do it a little smarter and make sure that he knows that I guess don't need him, but man, it's just a different defense when he is out there.
Yeah.
But somebody brings up, Steven says that he's worried about our linebackers in pass coverage. And I did see that there was the closest to a camp scuffle came between, of course, Ben Mason, because, bench press is mixing it up. He's ready to move somebody, and Patrick Queen. Apparently they met. There was a little bit of scuffling, and then they went their separate ways. But the linebacker core, to me, Jimbo, is a spot where I don't have a lot of concern. I have more excitement than concern because all these guys are young and ascending players. I even include LJ Ford in there.
Okay. Because
I know he's not nearly as young as these guys, but I don't think he's necessarily reached his peak because he's really just now getting that like more and more play time, outside of just being a special teamer.
Right.
So I think I have big hopes for all these guys. I mean, Chris Board ascending and young, Malik, Patrick Queen ascending and young. I'm confident in these young guys. Am I a little too confident?
I think you might be a little too confident, not in their ability. I agree that they will get there, but my concern is that I feel like the biggest thing with Patrick is being in the right place at the right time, being able to diagnose plays.
Yeah.
And so I think that there were a couple times last year where he proverbially got caught with his pants down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, he got tricked, and it looked pretty bad more than once. And so, obviously, this is his second year. He's got a full off season. There will be an exponential growth to his mental game.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to see it out there. I don't want to see him getting fooled anymore, right? So, and because they're all young as a group, you'll see the same things with Malik. You'll see the same things with Chris Board. Now, you don't see them as much with LJ Fort. So I'm hoping that he can bring those guys along, right? Yeah. But that's the only thing to me where I agree with you. I have a lot of excitement as well, but because collectively they're young, there's no backups. There's no wily vet that might be a step slow, but knows what to do up here coming in the game if they're getting burnt. It's either these guys
or we might have to go, to the dime and bring Levine as the linebacker because
and we don't want to do that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if it's a guaranteed passing situation,
right?
But yeah, I wouldn't want him out there if they're going to decide to do an inside handoff or something up the middle.
Yeah, no.
And he has to take on a
might
lineman.
be his last snap of the game.
Yeah, him taking on a lineman could be scary, but he has apparently looked good in pass rush out of that slot spot, which we've seen him do quite often in this Wink Martindale system. So.
And it was also Wink. Somebody brought up Malik Harrison, and there was an article written on. But if I'm not mistaken, Wink said that no, it wasn't Wink. It was Rex Ryan. It was Rob Ryan said he expects Malik Harrison to do really, really big things this year.
Okay,
seen a lot out of him because it's been kind of quiet on the league, hasn't it?
Yeah. Maybe they're keeping him a secret.
Yeah, I'm sure we know he's a thumper. We know he can get there and lay the wood. What are your expectations of him this year?
I still think he's the clear-cut guy behind Fort and Patrick Queen. I think he's got a shot to make some noise on first and second down. I still don't think they are going to put him out there in coverage situations until he shows he can do it. But of course, you need to be out there to show you can do it. So that'll be interesting to see if they give him some chances and kind of see what he can handle and what he can't. But I think also a lot of what Malik does kind of depends on what Patrick Queen does. Because
Yeah.
if Patrick leap that a lot of people are expecting, including myself, I'm not sure how Malik gets his way on the field, because L running back, they basically said, look, we have a role for you, and this is the role we're gonna, we have in mind for you. I can't see him eating into that role. The only role I would see him eating into is if Patrick Queen doesn't live up to the hype and to the first round status that he was drafted as. And I'm just not. Maybe it's just because I want Patrick Queen to turn out so bad that I don't want that to be the case. But I just don't see how he takes snaps away from Pat Queen. And that's not even necessarily a knock against Malik. It's just because in this day and age, I think Patrick Queen just fits the mold of what you're looking for out of the linebacker with his athleticism. Yeah. And Patrick Queen or Malik Harrison's more of an old school version in his size. Still brings some speed, no doubt about it, but a bigger guy. And I'm not sure if he fits in today's 3-down linebacker, look, the mold.
Yeah, and he's talking. I think a lot of people my ability to move laterally and skills and coverage. So we'll definitely see that. But I'll be honest, I've said this before. I think that Chris Board eventually becomes the next Zach Orr.
Oh, okay.
And that I think he's going to make a huge leap.
That's like 140 tackles.
Yeah, I think that whether it's this year or next year, I think he becomes the running mate to Patrick Queen.
Okay.
I think in Malik Harrison, I think he has all the talent in the world, but he might end up being the odd man out and might be a solid trade piece later on, or something like that. But I do think all of those guys collectively will make a jump. Mm-hmm. But here is where I want to see it. That's where I get concerned, because when they show those replays and when you see the confusion in their body language in their face, that's where it gets concerning. Because once again, you got Andy Reid back there scheming him up. He's sitting on the beach, got a bag full of hamburgers, Glenn.
On the beach.
On the beach.
He's by the pool at the best.
Up to his ankles in the sand, right? But he's fully covered, all shaved.
Yeah.
He's got the big sunglasses on. And he's got the nose full of sunscreen, right?
just clumped onto the tip.
Right there. And he's got the bag full of hamburgers. And on the other side, the fries. He's got the sodas coming out of the hat, right?
Oh, man.
And he is just scheming, Glenn, to think, you know what? I know Pat Queen, and I know Malik Harrison. I know Chris Board.
They're going to bite on this.
Yep. Get him. And he's just giddy, laughing, and his little belly's just laughing.
It's just the whitest feet sticking out of the sand. It's just the palest feet you've ever seen.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that is what has me, because you haven't seen it all till you've seen it all.
Well, look, there's no way those two are ever going to be ready this year for what Andy can throw at them. I mean, most veterans aren't used to what, he can throw at you. And certainly that's a game that, while the Ravens have that game circled, they do as well. The Chiefs know exactly who they're going to be competing against when it's later in the year, and the Ravens are certainly on that list of teams that are going to be competing against them.
I tell you what, though, Wink might be coming right back at him with number 6 now, taking a mad dash at the quarterback and getting a sack, because we know one thing: the boy can move.
He is a blur, no doubt about it. And yeah, like I said earlier, apparently he would have had a few sacks if there was live tackling, because none of the existing running backs could block him.
Right.
With Gus out, and yeah, JK's got to tighten up his pass pro.
He just doesn't have interest in it, I'm sure.
You don't think so? Well, you need to have interest in pass.
Definitely, but certainly, look, this is the same thing. Gus knows it because he's made a living on that before he had the opportunity to get the ball. Right, so you had to show that. When you come in the league with the opportunity to get the ball, it's like going backwards. Why do I want to do that? I already, you know what I mean?
I hope he doesn't have that.
I think that naturally some guys have that, where it's like, I'm above the dirty work a little bit. Right?
Oh,
you've heard guys. I'm not playing special.
Yeah, but I don't think JK's that. I think he said, I'd block someone if you need me. Like, I'll be on the line if you need me to.
No, absolutely, but it's different to say it and then to come from it. Right?
I got you.
Like, I talked about the whole Bane comparison, right? Like, Batman adopted the light, adopted the dark, Bane was born in the dark.
That's true.
Two different scenarios, right?
Okay.
Man, I love myself some Gus Edwards, don't I?
You do.
I'll defend that boy to the death.
You do. It's the story. That's what it is. You need the good story gets you on board.
Gets me every time, man.
No doubt about it. Was he Liberia? Is he
from Liberia? Yep, you got it. I mean,
lived in a shack.
You saw that picture where his dad was there the day he signed his contract?
Crazy, man.
You talk about upward mobility. Talk about hitting the lottery.
Yeah,
my
generational. He changed. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, absolutely cool story. But yeah, I mean, it still seems like people are talking about the receivers. 7, 4, 6, 5, what they keep. I'm starting to lean towards. I don't know how, unless there's unless Marquise Brown, if he isn't ready for the season, I'm starting to lean towards them keeping 7, Jimbo. I mean, and if I had to, somebody said earlier, gun to my head, Prochet or Boykin. I go Prochet now, and I said Boykin when I did my last 53, but the reports have been Boykin's been trash.
Man, or Don C. This is live.
Yeah, this is live, Don C.
Live, not pre-recorded. We're here for you.
That's right. That's
Sorry,
right. Yeah,
no,
yeah, because sometimes that can be confusing. But yeah, I mean, I think that Prochet, with his versatility, with the plays he's been making, I love seeing that drill when he was catching balls as soon as they come out of the jug machine. So cool. I mean, if they say he has the best hands on the team, the only question is, does he separate? And if he's doing that in practice against what we consider the best secondary in the entire league, then he can do it against any other team. And you better believe, I don't care if this is practice, Marlon doesn't want to get beat. Nope. Peters doesn't want to get beat. I mean, none of these guys want to get beat. So if he's doing it, then he's doing it against the very best corners in the league. And you can ask anyone. Even PFF gave them the credit where it was due when you talk about outside corners.
Yeah, can you believe that? PFF gave the Ravens some credit. What?
Shocking. Other than their coaching staff, which they love them some John Harbaugh.
And they love Gus Edwards.
That's true. They do.
Well, I mean, rightfully so.
And they like Wink Martindale as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a fan apparently of
Lamar Jackson. Only the
somehow he's not the top 100 play. Crazy.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to mention though is based around what you see coming out of this preseason. So what I'm trying to say is, with these games coming up, if you had to name 3 things that you're looking for, like, what are the matchups you're going to be watching, right?
Yeah.
What are the things you're going to be looking for? So I want to talk about that, and then I want to end the show with this. Is Marquise Brown turning into a cautionary tale?
Oof.
Are we starting to go down the road? But let's start here.
Okay.
So talk about some things that you're going to have your eyes glued on during those preseason games. Yeah,
so the big one for me that I'm most excited about is to see Odafe Oweh. Oh, I see it. We got you, Daniel. We'll talk to you in a sec. No, Daniel is not in the cabin with us. Unfortunately, we would have loved to bring Daniel along.
Dude, get in the room, Daniel. Get in here with us, dude. Yeah, come on, man. Just hop in.
Yeah, what's going on here in the comments, man?
Yeah.
Get in here. But no, Odafe Oweh is the first thing I'm looking for. Is that speed for real? Is that explosiveness as good as it's hyped up to be? That's the one thing
So do you need it to be like translate into sacks in the preseason, or do you need it to just be him because I'm at the point where like getting there isn't good enough for me. Maybe that's bad only because of the lack of production in college.
Yeah. No, I want to see. Well, it really depends on the game plan, because a lot of times they have that vanilla game plan in the preseason.
Right.
They might just be 3-step, get it out. So I'm really just watching him individually, how he takes on. Is it just one-on-one against the right tackle? Is it a double team? He does, because if they just 1, 2, 3, boom, get it out, then he might not get there.
You're right.
But if he beats the guy in front of him, I'll be happy. But if I start seeing him get to the quarterback, I'm going to get even more jacked up and excited. And then offensively, if I had to pick one spot, I mean, it's got to be the receiving core, right? It's got to be, does the receiving core do enough to does anybody on the receiving core do enough to separate themselves from the pack? Does Prochet make 3-4 catches in game 1 while Boykin remains quiet? Does Dionne Cain catch a 50-yard touchdown where he pulls away? Does anybody separate themselves in the room to make the coaching or Eric DeCosta, the front office, and the coaching staff decision a little easier? Because right now, I'm sure they're scratching their heads just like the rest of us.
Yeah. So that's a great point. Let me tell you the 2 that I got my eyes on defensively are Darius Washington. Our Darius Washington, because I said it before, behind our 2 starting safeties. And what's up, DK?
He's in there.
Yeah, throw something in the bottom on the banner, man. People don't know you're here. We don't want to see you on the other side, bro. We want to see you here.
We want some words of wisdom.
That's right. So, but our Darius Washington, because I think he's uniquely positioned to be the true third safety. Not just a special teams guy, not a niche guy like a Kokap or even a Stevens, who's kind of a project. But really to be the number 3 guy, if one of these guys go down, or if we have a situation where all 3 of them need to be on the field at once, he can be the guy there. DK in the house! DK in the cabin, baby!
That's right.
No, we appreciate you, man. But so that's defensively. That's my thing.
Okay.
Offensively, you know what? After Daniel Jeremiah today, my eyes are on Dionne Cain. Dionne Cain, does he work his way? I know you talked about Prochet, but does Dionne Cain find a way to fight, puncher's chance? Because like you said, he's got the body. He's not Miles Boykin as far as girth, right? But he's got the length. He's got the size, and he's got a shot, man. I think if Daniel Jeremiah, I usually take what he says about the Ravens to be relatively valuable. Mm-hmm. He knows the team.
Other than the recklessness, he was talking about a holdout.
Yeah. Some of that stuff might just been,
Come on, man.
It's slow time, so they need some ratings.
I guess so.
But when he's out of camp, I take his eye test more. I take it more seriously than other people that talk about the Ravens.
Right.
So look, if he's saying good things about Dionne Cain, so am I, and I'm looking forward to it.
Also, I think Troy touches on a good point. I am really going to be looking at some Ben Cleveland.
Oh yeah, but that's just going to be for enjoyment, right?
I want to see him moving guys, tossing guys. I want to see some mean streak in him. If he gets a guy on the ground, let's drive him into the turf. Let's try and bury him.
Yeah.
Because that's what I really want to see out of this guy. I want to see the tone setter up front because, he's one of the young building blocks. We look at this offensive line. It's got some old spots. It's got Villanueva. It's got Zeitler. It's got some old spots. It's also got some youth. With Bozeman and hopefully Bozeman's here for years to come. But that remains to be seen. He could price himself out of Baltimore with a really outstanding season. But Cleveland's going to be here for a little while. And I think the way John was giddy and excited about taking him, I think he could end up being one of those centerpieces like we saw with Yonda if he can put it all together, stay healthy, of course, and really flourish in this system. But, so I want to see him picking guys up and moving.
I like it. I can just imagine him doing that, coming off the sideline. Like, when a pitcher throws a strike three and then it's the third out to end the inning.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this in a second here.
Oh, we're going to talk about
it. But, and then he's cursing and he's like,
staring him down,
spitting on the ground. Can you imagine Ben Cleveland just walking off with his helmet in his hand, sitting down on the bench, just
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the dip in his mouth and everything else. Oh, man, that dude's going to be nasty.
He's going to. Yeah.
But Glenn, let's get into it.
All right, DK, you can jump in here if you want, DK, because
it's story time, bro.
By the way,
we're on vacation.
Yeah, we're on vacation. We saw some whales, Jimbo. DK.
Jimbo.
We saw some whales. So let me just say this. For one, good to see you, DK.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Now we don't have headsets on, so it's a little hard for us to hear you. But
we got you.
Let me say this. For one, if you go whale watching, there's two things. One, dress way warmer than you ever thought you'd need to dress, okay? Because there was about a time where we got about a quarter mile off the shore or so where we literally felt a line where the temperature dropped about 15 degrees. Boom, right off 15 degrees. And then those big boats can move, Jimbo. That boat was fast. And the wind, 35 mile an hour on the water, feels like 100. And especially because Jimmy, he put us in the point. Me and Jimbo, if there's a point of the boat, there's me and Jimbo. Nobody was in front of me and Jimmy for the entire duration. It's 5 hours long. It's 2 hours all the way out, about an hour floating around, and 2 hours all the way home in the cold. Now, Jimbo, tell them about the triage unit that was the boat about halfway through.
So this is where it gets bad, okay? Not only is it freezing, but you also have to take Glenn's description with a grain of salt. It's very sensitive to the cold.
Hold on now, Jimbo.
But it was freezing.
Nonetheless,
it was freezing. All right? But what I want to say is that about 70% of the entirety of the people on the boat were throwing up everywhere.
Oh, man.
They were telling us, if you had any previous motion sickness, get off the boat now.
They should have listened.
So people were all over. In the cabin, it smelled like
it was a mess. People were crying,
like going through it because we're 30. There was a lady. Look, there was a lady sitting down, okay, with her mask on one ear, pale as can be. She looked like she had no life left.
It was hilarious.
Crying profusely and vomiting profusely at the same time, knowing that she has 4 hours of this left.
Yeah, it was serious.
Nothing. They're not going to U-turn. Wow. But with all that said, Daniel,
we saw. The captain said it was the best trip of the year. We saw humpback whales fully out and her baby right behind her.
How many breaches? 3, 4 breaches we saw. Breaches.
Wow.
I mean, they were up in the air. The lady that was, doing the tour said this is not normal behavior. We do not see this very often.
Yeah.
So, look, if you had to tell me we'd have to do it again,
I would just dress warmer, but I would do it.
Signing me up, man. Look,
just don't go indoors. Don't go inside.
No.
Stay in the front. Stay looking straight ahead. If you go inside, you're in big trouble.
I thought an elephant was
wow.
Yeah, this thing was about 35 tons right next to us, and then a little seal went right by us, looking up at us. It was adorable.
Yeah, the whale probably got within, what do you think, 10 meters of the boat?
Oh yeah. It was really cool. But yeah, dress warmly, way warmer than you ever would anticipate.
Yeah, winter clothing, like winter. Anything you can think of you're wearing to a ski resort, probably going to want to take with you.
For sure.
Yeah.
That far up north. Yeah.
We were closer to Canada.
Oh, yeah. At one point, we were closer to Canada.
Canadian waters, baby.
That's right.
Wow.
50 miles off of shore. Couldn't see anything.
We were in Billy Seal's territory, man.
That's
Oh.
Hey.
But, DK, thanks for coming on. Give us some takeaways you've had so far, as much as you've been able to, follow camp, follow Ravens Flock on Twitter, the reports you've been seeing. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't catch the earlier part, but I will echo what Glenn just shared about Prochet. Man, I'm really excited about James Prochet. Like, I just watching some of the clips of him catching balls out there, and despite the fact that Lamar's not even out there yet, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, he looks a lot more polished, and I mean, he already looks like he's got better hands than anyone that I've seen on the Ravens, receiving corps in a while. So, I don't know, flashes of like the Wes Welker type, like, oh, we could put this guy in the slot and do a lot of, creative things with him, just started to come up. And I'm like, this could be pretty interesting for, the Ravens receiving corps, in the sense that like the guys that they have can develop, a different skill sets. And we can, we're talking about the passing attack, trying to add some teeth to the passing attack. But I think it's even more interesting thinking like we can do a lot of different things with the passing attack, hit you with possession guys, and then also streak down the field and catch balls over the defenders' heads. I think that's kind of an exciting element to what I'm starting to see in camp, and then add Lamar in there, and then, we'll see what happens. But that's, I think the big, question mark has just been, what happens when you add Lamar, because he's been, gone this whole time. So, which is, I think I'm gonna, it's the topic of my next article is like kind of what we're missing by not having him here around.
Check it out. It's fire.
So yeah, I've been thinking a little bit more about adding some more content to our articles. So I'm gonna keep them coming.
Nice. Yeah, this is exciting. And too, I know how making any plans. Will we be seeing the great DK at any point this upcoming season?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be around. So September, look out for me. I'm making concrete plans. So yeah, for sure. You guys will see me. We'll meet in person. We'll do a live show all together.
Awesome.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's gonna be really cool. Let's see. I saw somebody. Oh, Don C says he's picturing me and you at the front of the boat, and me holding you in my arms,
like the Titanic,
and you just arms out. And it was almost that. I mean, we were up there. It was pretty cool. I mean, that boat was going slamming down. There was some butterflies in the front. But no, I didn't hold him in my arms. No, he wasn't up for all that.
No,
but I'd have done it. I mean, just from warmth standpoint, I'd have done it.
Just for body.
I mean, my face was windburned from that. I've never been windburned before. The wind.
Wow.
DK, at the same time, there was a 14-year-old girl in front of us shivering while taking pictures with less clothes on than both of us.
Wow.
Shivering.
I guess she's just really dedicated to the picture taking.
Plus, kids are tough, man.
Kids are tough.
Kids can suffer, Kids can suffer, but
it was an awesome experience nonetheless. I mean, it was an absolute blast, right? So we would recommend. I mean, I know I would recommend it to anyone. Go out there and
take your Dramamine, though. I think it was called Dramamine, because it got real on there for some people who I know for sure will never get back on another boat, and my wife might be one of them. How about them Cheetos?
The girl next to me had a big bag of Cheetos, and 20 minutes in, that whole
I said,
bag of
Jimmy,
Cheetos,
don't go backwards.
yeah, they were partially digested and then regurgitated.
No.
It was she missed me, which was great, but yeah, it was disgusting. Disgusting. But yeah, it was an absolute blast nonetheless. It was great. The whales were incredible, super majestic as I thought they would be. Speaking of majestic, our run game, I want to end with this. The best thing about camp so far, and let me know, gentlemen, if you agree with me, for nothing, not nothing, but the running game. Like, people are forgetting. Everyone's talking about, they're getting excited about the passing game. They're getting excited about the maturation of it, the depth of the receivers. You know, Ben Mason, the new wide receiver coaches. They're forgetting. Yep. We have the most prolific passing or rushing attack in the NFL, in the history of the NFL. And I think, DK, you were kind of getting to that point, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, DK.
One of the thoughts I had was, you know, oddly enough, with Gus being out, there's less to talk about with the running game. I mean, so you've got so people have been talking about J.K. Dobbins out there. I mean, he's been catching balls and rounding out his skills and stuff like that. But like, we haven't had the full group out there yet. So that's also adding an element of intrigue in terms of, you know, what happens when Gus comes back, how much they develop. So I think that's also oddly an element that kind of keeps them under wraps. And so people aren't talking about it. There's a chance that, you know, it can kind of go overlooked if some of those teams earlier on you're not noticing, you know, or don't remember how strong we were in terms of running. So all this attention's been paid to the passing game, but we just still technically unproven. So I'm really excited for like this combination between the surprise of the passing attack when they can click, and they've got these different types of weapons. And then when, you know, we hit you with our bread and butter, which is the run game, you know, how it's going to work on offense. I mean, it's super exciting to like wait for, you know?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, Jimbo, because there's one thing I want to close on, and it's piggybacking on this. When I saw a tweet out from Torrey Smith showed up to camp and tweeted out that the Ravens receivers are looking good, and a reply was sent back from Des Bryant saying basically that, you know, G-Ro has to draw some stuff up for these guys. There's no reason that these guys can be stopped when you have Lamar Jackson and that run game coupled with it. The offense should be unstoppable, basically. And I'm paraphrasing, but it got me thinking, like, what if they finally figured out a way to incorporate an impressive and you know, a passing attack that is comparable, or at least, you know, somewhat comparable to his rushing attack, and they can bring both worlds and collide them together, because we already know that the run game is going to be good. There's no doubt about that. But can these two young coaches, coupled with, you know, G-Ro knowing that this is, you know, a focus not just of his, but of the entire organization to get better at this area
and his career,
no doubt about it. How good, like, if that commitment can lead to results, how good could this offense truly be? It could be, just like Des says, could be truly unstoppable. I mean, the run game is already unstoppable when everyone knows that's what you're doing. If you can couple that with a passing game that's somewhat near that, I mean, holy smoke, we could be up for, like Des said, I mean, a historically unstoppable offense. And then we also have a really good defense to go along with it, and maybe the best special team unit also. So, I mean, this could be one of those seasons, man, that really, I mean, ones we'll never forget. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, if you go along with the comparison of Lamar and Giannis, everyone's wanting to make that comparison these days, right? Look, Giannis is unstoppable when he's making free throws. That game, that closeout game, he dropped a 50-piece. I think he went 16 to 17 from the line. Yep. You can't do anything about that when he's scoring and you're fouling him on purpose and he's making them. So very similar in that way. It's like at what point, what is there left to do? You can't put more people on the field. You can only draw up so much from a defensive perspective. Yeah, it's going to be really difficult for people to stop them if they can just get respectable, right? If they can just do enough to keep.
What if they can do more?
Yeah, no, and that's the hope. But at the very least, right, keep them honest.
Yeah,
keep them out the box. Give the receivers some one-on-one opportunities, and then give the running game some favorable matchups.
Yep.
man, you better look out. I'll tell you what. And DK making some, making some claims there, and I agree with you in that, and make sure you guys check out his last article in stating that, Justin Houston. It's a great point because Glenn and I kind of talked about this in our video referencing it. Is that Justin Houston really does make this roster among one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And Glenn and I were talking about how it's weird how the Ravens, I think, have gone from being in 19, they turned into this superpower. And then last year, everyone kind of poo-pooed them a little bit and really started the stock, at least nationally, in the Ravens started to drop. So now we're kind of in this weird, I feel like, tier 2 ranking of teams. But you're absolutely right, DK. So make sure you guys go check it out on Patreon. He really digs into why Justin Houston helps to round this roster out and make it among one of the best. It's only $1 a month. I've said this before. You get access to DK's awesome articles, who is way better than we deserve.
Mm-hmm.
So we appreciate it. Yeah, man, make sure you guys go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, that's it for us tonight. We're going to try and make sure there's no bears beating down the doors on the outside. But yeah, we'll be back soon. I'm sure before this week's out, we'll go live again to try and make sure we keep up to date. Because I know we know that when we planned this vacation many months ago, we didn't necessarily realize it would be the very opening week of training camp.
And that it would be the worst internet in the world.
Yeah, as you can see from our picture, which I hear is not the best, and DK is in crystal clear HD. But nonetheless, we will be back because we missed you guys. We missed talking football, and even if we're out here in northern Maine, we still got an eye on the Ravens and making sure we're keeping up to date, and we want to pass that along to you guys. So thanks for coming out with us. Do a couple shout outs. Don C, appreciate you always following us and looking out for us. Nana Rave, you're the best. We appreciate you. Living Legend, always giving love. Adam78, you as well. Fabian, appreciate you, backing us up a little bit in the comments tonight, letting them know that, look, we're on vacation, but we're still out here trying to make it happen for you guys. Brandon Thompson, appreciate you. Anyone I missed, thanks for coming out. If you're a silent observer, appreciate you. And we'll be talking soon.
See you guys.